Welcome friends to a new session on differential geometry, Gauss-Bonnet theorem and geodesic coordinate systems. In the last session, we have stated and proved a lemma which is Gauss-Bonnet theorem for two simplices. As a continuation to it, we will see the Gauss-Bonnet theorem in this session. But before going to it, let us see the definition of fundamental cycle. Definition: let M be an oriented, connected, smoothly triangulated two-manifold. For each two-simplex S in M, let us denote this simplex oriented consistently with M. That is, if H from K to M is a triangulation and omega is a two-form on M giving its orientation of S, given by the two-form HS star omega. Let C is equal to summation over S, then C is a cycle called the fundamental cycle of M. Given any two-form mu on M, the integral of mu over M is defined by integral over M mu is equal to integral over C H star mu. Note that the integral can be defined without use of a triangulation. Let M be a compact oriented n-manifold and let mu be an n-form on M. Let set Uj Fj be a smooth partition of unity on M, where set Uj is a finite covering of M by coordinate neighborhoods. Then integration of n-forms is defined on each Uj by pulling the forms back to Rn through the coordinate systems. The integral of mu over M is then given by integral over M mu is equal to integral over C H star mu. This is independent of the partition of unity used, for if set Vk Gk is another such partition, then summation over j integral over Uj Fj mu is equal to summation over Jk integral over Uj intersection Vk Fj Gk mu is equal to summation over k integral over Vk Gk mu. Now we will move on to Gauss-Bonnet theorem. Statement: let M be an oriented, connected, smoothly triangulated Riemannian two-manifold, then 1 by 2 pi integral over M k volume is equal to x of M, which is equal to beta naught minus beta 1 plus beta 2, where x of M is the Euler characteristic of M. Proof: note that each one simplex T of M is an edge of precisely two simplices of M. For given any point M element of T, there exists by the implicit function theorem a coordinate ball U about M such that T intersection U is mapped into a straight line in R2. By choosing U small enough, T must divide U into precisely two pieces. These pieces must lie in distinct two simplices, and since open simplices are disjoint, there can be no other two simplex with T as an edge. Thus, since each two simplex has three one simplices as edges, the total number n1 of one simplices of M is given by n1 is equal to 3n2 by 2, where n2 is the number of two simplices of M. Letting n0 denote the number of vertices in M, the Euler characteristic is given by x is equal to n0 minus n1 plus n2, which is equal to n0 minus 3n2 by 2 plus n2, which is equal to n0 minus n2 by 2. Now we apply the lemma which we have proved in the last session, and 1 by 2 pi integral over M k volume is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral over C H star k volume, which is equal to 1 by 2 pi summation over S integral over S H star k volume, which is equal to 1 by 2 pi summation over S minus tau dou S plus summation interior angles of HS minus pi, which is equal to 1 by 2 pi minus tau dou C plus summation over S of summation interior angles of HS minus n2 pi. But dou C is equal to 0 and summation over S, summation of interior angles of HS, equals the sum over all vertices V in M of the sum of the interior angles at V of all two simplices with V as a vertex. Taking a coordinate neighborhood of V contained in SV, we see that for each V, the sum of these interior angles at V is exactly 2 pi. We can see this in figure 1. Hence, 1 by 2 pi integral over M k volume is equal to 1 by 2 pi into 2 pi n0 minus n2 pi, which is equal to n0 minus n2 by 2, which is equal to x of M. Note that this theorem holds for any connection on Sm, since only the second structural equation was used in the proof. Corollary 1. Let M be any Riemannian two-manifold homeomorphic with the sphere S2 then integral over M K volume is equal to 4 pi. Corollary 2. Let M be any Riemannian manifold homeomorphic with the torus S1 cross S1, then integral over M K volume is equal to 0. Corollary 3. Let M be as in the theorem. Suppose there exists on M a smooth vector field which is never 0, then xm is equal to 0. In particular, there exist no non-zero vector fields on S2. Now we move on to geodesic coordinate systems. Let M be an oriented Riemannian 2 manifold and consider the vector field E1 on Sm. Let Ut denote the local 1 parameter group of transformations on Sm associated to the vector field E1. Then for each M0 element of capital M and Z element of pi inverse M0, there exists an epsilon greater than 0 and an open set Wz about Z in Sm such that the map closed integral minus epsilon epsilon cross Wz to S of M given by Tw goes to Ut of W is smooth. Since pi inverse of M0 equivalent to S1 is compact, pi inverse M0 can be covered by a finite number of such sets Wz. Taking epsilon to be the minimum of the corresponding numbers epsilon, the map mu from closed interval 0 epsilon cross S1 to S of M given by mu of Tg is equal to Ut M0 G V0, V0 fixed which is an element of T of M M0 with norm V0 is equal to 1, is well defined and is smooth. Since for each G element of S1, the curve T goes to mu Tg in Sm is horizontal with tangent vector E1, the curve T goes to pi composite mu Tg is a geodesic starting at M0 with tangent vector d pi E1 of M0 G V0 which is equal to G V0 at M0. We can see this in figure 2. Let d epsilon denote the open disk of radius epsilon about the origin in R2 and let P from closed interval 0 epsilon cross S1 to d epsilon where P stands for polar map be given by P of Tg is equal to T into G, then P is a smooth map. Moreover, the restriction of P to open interval 0 epsilon cross S1 is injective and maps open interval 0 epsilon cross S1 onto d epsilon minus set 0. Since, however, pi composite pi of 0 G is equal to M0 for all G element of S1, a map capital G from d epsilon to M is defined by capital G is equal to pi composite mu composite P inverse. You can see that open interval 0 epsilon cross S1 and Sm is related by the map mu, open interval 0 epsilon cross S1 and d epsilon is related by the map P, and Sm and M is related by the map pi. Hence, G is defined as pi composite mu composite P inverse. We can show that this map capital G is smooth. Note that G of 0 is equal to M0 and that G maps radial straight lines in d epsilon into geodesics through M0. See figure 3. Next is a definition. The map capital G from d epsilon to M is called a polar or geodesic coordinate system about M0. Note. Let dou by dou r and dou by dou theta denote the natural vector fields on 0 epsilon cross S1, then dp into dou by dou r and dp into dou by dou theta are the tangent vectors to the polar coordinate curves in d epsilon minus set 0. Note that dp into dou by dou theta can be smoothly extended to d epsilon by setting dp into dou by dou theta at 0 is equal to 0. The Gauss lemma asserts that these orthogonal vector fields dp dou by dou r and dp dou by dou theta are mapped by geodesic coordinate systems into orthogonal vector fields. That is, that the orthogonal curves r equal to constant and theta equal to constant are mapped into orthogonal curves in M by geodesic coordinate systems. Next is Gauss lemma. The scalar product dg composite dp dou by dou r dg composite dp dou by dou theta is equal to 0. Proof. dg composite dp is equal to d of g composite p which is equal to d of pi composite mu which is equal to d pi composite d mu. Moreover, d mu dou by dou r is equal to E1. Hence, for mv element of image of mu, d pi into d mu dou by dou r at mv is equal to d pi E1 of mv, which is equal to v. Thus, scalar product dg composite dp dou by dou r dg composite dp dou by dou theta is equal to the scalar product d pi composite d mu dou by dou r d pi composite d mu dou by dou theta, which is equal to omega 1 d mu dou by dou theta, which is equal to mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta. To see that this is 0, consider d of mu star omega 1 is equal to mu star d omega 1, which is equal to mu star psi meet omega 2 by first structural equation, which is equal to mu star psi meet mu star omega 2. Then d of mu star omega 1 dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to half into mu star psi dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta minus mu star psi dou by dou theta mu star omega 2 dou by dou r, which is equal to half into psi d mu dou by dou r omega 2 d mu dou by dou theta minus psi into d mu dou by dou theta omega 2 d mu dou by dou r. But d mu dou by dou r is equal to E1, so that psi d mu dou by dou r is equal to 0, since E1 is horizontal and omega 2 d mu dou by dou r is equal to 0. Hence, 0 is equal to d mu star omega 1 dou by dou r dou by dou theta, which is equal to half into dou by dou r mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta minus dou by dou theta mu star omega 1 dou by dou r minus mu star omega 1 box dou by dou r dou by dou theta. But mu star omega 1 dou by dou r is equal to omega 1 d mu dou by dou r, which is equal to omega 1 E1 is equivalent to 1. So, the second term is 0. Moreover, the bracket dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to 0 by equality of mixed partial derivatives. So, the third term is 0 also. Thus, dou by dou r mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta is identically equal to 0, and mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta is independent of r, that is the scalar product dg composite dp dou by dou r dg composite dp dou by dou theta is independent of r. But as r tends to 0, dp dou by dou theta is equal to 0, so that this inner product tends to 0. Since it is independent of r, it must therefore be identically 0. Note that by Gauss lemma, dg dp dou by dou theta is always orthogonal to the radial geodesics of our geodesic coordinate system. Next, we study the behavior of the length of dg dp dou by dou theta as we move along a radial geodesic. Since omega 1 d mu dou by dou theta and omega 2 d mu dou by dou theta are the components of d pi d mu dou by dou theta relative to an orthonormal basis, and since omega 1 d mu dou by dou theta is equal to mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta, which is equal to 0 from the proof of Gauss lemma, mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta is equal to omega 2 d mu dou by dou theta is at least up to sign equal to the length of d pi composite d mu dou by dou theta, which is equal to dg composite dp dou by dou theta. Now, from the first structural equation, d of mu star omega 2 is equal to mu star d omega 2, which is equal to minus mu star psi meet omega 1, which is equal to minus mu star psi meet mu star omega 1. Thus, d of mu star omega 2 dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to minus half into mu star psi dou by dou r mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta minus mu star psi dou by dou theta mu star omega 1 dou by dou r. But mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta equal to 0 by Gauss lemma, and mu star omega 1 dou by dou r is equal to omega 1 d mu dou by dou r equal to omega 1 E1, which is identically equal to 1, so that d mu star omega 2 dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to half mu star psi dou by dou theta. On the other hand, d of mu star omega 2 dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to half into dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta minus dou by dou theta into mu star omega 2 dou by dou r minus dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou r dou by dou theta, which is equal to half dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta. Since mu star omega 2 dou by dou r is equal to omega 2 d mu dou by dou r equal to omega 2 E1, which is equal to 0, and the box dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to 0. Thus, dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta is equal to mu star psi dou by dou theta. Now applying the second structural equation, d mu star psi is equal to mu star d psi is equal to mu star minus k composite pi omega 1 meet omega 2 equal to minus of k composite pi composite mu star omega 1 meet mu star omega 2. Thus, d mu star psi dou by dou r dou by dou theta equal to minus half k composite pi composite mu star omega 1 dou by dou r mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta minus mu star omega 1 dou by dou theta mu star omega 2 dou by dou r, which is equal to minus half k composite g composite p mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta as before. Finally, d mu star psi dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to half into dou by dou r mu star psi dou by dou theta minus dou by dou theta mu star psi dou by dou r minus mu star psi dou by dou r dou by dou theta, that is equal to half dou by dou r mu star psi dou by dou theta. Since mu star psi dou by dou r is equal to psi d mu dou by dou r, which is equal to psi E1, which is equal to 0, and the box dou by dou r dou by dou theta is equal to 0. Thus, dou by dou r mu star psi dou by dou theta is equal to minus k composite g composite p mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta. Differentiating the first boxed equation given and substituting into the second, we obtain dou square by dou r square mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta plus k composite g composite p mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta is equal to 0. Moreover, mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta at r equal to 0 equal to omega 2 d mu dou by dou theta at r equal to 0, which is equal to omega 2 into v is equal to 0. And from the first boxed equation given, d by dr mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta at r equal to 0 is equal to mu star psi dou by dou theta at r equal to 0 equal to psi d mu dou by dou theta at r equal to 0 is equal to psi v, which is equal to 1. In particular, mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta greater than or equal to 0 at least for small values of r, and so mu star omega 2 dou by dou theta is indeed equal to the length of dg composite dp dou by dou theta. Theorems on geodesic coordinate system. Theorem 1. Let capital G from d epsilon to m be a geodesic coordinate system about m0. For small g element of S1, consider the geodesic r goes to g composite p rg through m0. Let f of r denote the length of the vector field dg composite dp dou by dou theta along this geodesic. Then f satisfies the differential equation d square f by dr square plus k composite g composite p of f is equal to 0, which is known as the Jacobi's equation, as well as the initial conditions f of 0 is equal to 0 and f dash 0 is equal to 1. Note that if k is a constant, this differential equation can be solved explicitly. Namely, if k is greater than 0, f of r is equal to 1 by root k sin root k r. If k is less than 0, then f of r is equal to r. And if k is equal to 0, then f of r is equal to 1 by root k sin h root of minus kr. Next is theorem 2. Geodesics minimize arc length locally. That is, if alpha is a geodesic in M starting at M0, then there exists an epsilon greater than 0 such that L of alpha of 0 epsilon less than or equal to L of beta for all broken C infinity curves beta in M from M0 to alpha of epsilon. Proof. Let capital G from d epsilon to m be a geodesic coordinate system about m naught. Then since alpha is a geodesic, alpha of t is equal to g composite p of t comma g naught, which is equal to g of t g naught for 0 less than or equal to t less than epsilon for some g naught element of S1. Let p dash from d epsilon minus set 0 to d epsilon be a map which rotates each point of d epsilon into the radial line through g naught. This is p dash is defined by p dash rg is equal to rg naught. See figure 4. Let u equal to g d epsilon be an open set, and let p from u minus set m naught to u be the corresponding map in u, that is small p is equal to g composite p dash composite g inverse. Then dp from t um to t u p of m decreases in lengths, that is norm dp of v is less than or equal to norm v for all v element of t of um where m is an element of u minus set m naught. For by Gauss lemma, dg composite dp dou by dou theta are orthogonal vectors in t of u comma m. Moreover, norm dp dg composite dp dou by dou r is equal to norm dg dp dash composite dp dou by dou r, which is equal to norm dg composite dp dou by dou r, and dp dg composite dp dou by dou theta is equal to norm dg dp dash composite dp dou by dou theta, which is equal to norm dg of 0, which is equal to 0. It follows that the magnitude of dp of v equals the magnitude of the orthogonal projection of v onto dg composite dp dou by dou r, which is less than or equal to norm v. Now let beta from closed interval ab to m be any broken C infinity curve from m naught to alpha of epsilon. Let C is equal to infimum of t element of closed interval ab where beta of r is not an element of u. Then beta of C not an element of u, but beta t is an element of u for all t less than C. Let beta 1 is equal to beta at AC, then L of beta 1 is less than or equal to L of beta. Now consider the curve P composite beta 1 from closed interval AC to M. Then norm P composite beta 1 of t is equal to norm dp beta 1 dot t, which is equal to norm beta 1 dot t. Since dp decreases length, hence L of P composite beta 1 less than or equal to L of beta 1 less than or equal to L of beta. But image P composite beta 1 is equal to image of alpha. So since alpha is 1 to 1, we have P composite beta 1 t is equal to alpha composite f of t for t element of closed interval AC, and f from closed interval AC to closed interval 0 epsilon with f is equal to alpha inverse composite P composite beta 1. Thus L of beta greater than or equal to L of P composite beta 1, which is equal to integral a to c norm P composite dot beta 1 t dt, which is equal to integral a to c norm alpha composite dot ft dt, which is equal to integral a to c norm alpha dot f of t f dash t dt, which is greater than or equal to integral a to c norm alpha dot f of t f dash t dt, which is equal to integral 0 to epsilon norm alpha dot tau dt, which is equal to L of alpha at 0 epsilon. Note that this proof also shows that if G from d epsilon to m is geodesic coordinate system about m naught, and beta is any broken C infinity curve starting at m naught and ending at the same point outside the geodesic neighborhood G of d epsilon, then L of beta is greater than or equal to epsilon. Theorem 3. Let rho from m cross m to r be defined by rho of m1 m2 is equal to infimum of L alpha, where alpha is a broken C infinity curve in M starting at m1 and ending at m2. Then rho is a metric on M, and the metric topology on M is the same as the manifold topology on M. Proof. Clearly rho of m1 m2 is equal to rho of m2 m1. Also rho of m1 m2 less than or equal to rho of m1 m2 plus rho of m2 m3, because given any epsilon greater than 0, let alpha and beta be curves from m1 to m2 and from m2 to m3 respectively, such that L of alpha is less than rho m1 m2 plus epsilon by 2 and L of beta is less than rho m2 m3 plus epsilon by 2. Then rho m1 m3 is less than L beta less than rho m1 m2 plus rho m2 m3 plus epsilon. The remaining requirement rho m1 m2 is equal to 0 if and only if m1 equal to m2 for a metric is also satisfied, because if m1 not equal to m2, let G from d epsilon to m be a geodesic coordinate system about m1 not containing m2. Then every curve from m1 to m2 has a length at least epsilon, so rho of m1 m2 is greater than or equal to epsilon. The two topologies on M agree because for each m0 element of capital M, there exists epsilon naught m greater than 0 and a geodesic coordinate system G1 from d epsilon to m1 and G2 from d epsilon to m2 are geodesic coordinate systems about m1 and m2 respectively. If K2 composite G2 composite G1 inverse is equal to K1, where Ki is the curvature of Mi for I equal to 1, 2, then G2 composite G1 inverse is an isometry. See figure 6. Note that if K is identically equal to 0, M is locally isometric with R2 with its usual Riemannian structure. However, it is not true that M is globally isometric with R2. For example, the torus S1 cross S1 with its product structure. However, it can be shown that if M is simply connected and K is identically equal to 0, then M is isometrically the same as R2. Also note that Jacobi's equation also gives some information in the case of non-constant curvature. For example, suppose K is greater than or equal to C for some constant C. Then if f is the solution of Jacobi's equation f double dash plus kf is equal to 0 and f1 is the solution of f1 double dash plus c f1 is equal to 0, then the theory of ordinary differential equations, that is Sturm-Liouville systems, tells us that f is less than or equal to f1. That is, the geodesics in M spread more slowly than do geodesics in a space of constant curvature C. That is, geodesics emanating from M0 will come back together faster in capital M than in a space of constant curvature C. Before concluding this session, let us summarize what we have learned. We started the session with the definition of a fundamental cycle. Then we stated and proved Gauss-Bonnet theorem. It says that you can stretch a closed surface any way you want, add bumps and dents without influencing the total curvature of the surface. This is true because the surface Euler characteristic isn't influenced by such stretching and squashing. We saw some important results which came as corollary to the theorem. Then we have defined the geodesic coordinate system. By Gauss lemma, we have seen that dg dp dou by dou theta is always orthogonal to the radial geodesics of our geodesic coordinate system. We have also studied the behavior of the length of dg dp dou by dou theta as we move along a radial geodesic. We have also stated and proved some important results as theorems. We will continue with the isometries and spaces with constant curvature in the next session. Now you can try out these problems for a better understanding of the topic. First one, prove that C mentioned in the definition of fundamental cycle is a cycle. Second problem, show that the map G from d epsilon to m defined by G equal to pi composite mu composite P inverse, which is mentioned in the geodesic coordinate system, is smooth. Note that G of 0 is equal to m0 and that G maps radial straight lines in d epsilon into geodesics through m0. Third problem, consider the surface m2 of the unit cube in R3. What curvature one should assign to it so as to achieve a similarity with a smooth manifold? Explain what do you mean by similarity, that is, what properties of geodesic curves on the smooth manifolds you wish to preserve. Fourth one, show that the Gauss lemma is equivalent to the following statement. If P is an element of capital M and V is an element of TPM and W is an element of TTV TPM, which is isomorphic to TPM, are such that the scalar product VW is equal to 0, then the scalar product exponential P star WTV exponential P star VTV is equal to 0. These are some books for further reading. First one is Introduction to Differential Geometry by J. A. Thorpe, Springer Verlag. Second one, lecture notes on elementary topology and geometry by I. M. Singer and J. A. Thorpe by Springer-Verlag 1967. Third is elementary differential geometry by B. O. Neal, Academic Press 1966. Fourth one, lectures on differential geometry by S. Sternberg, Prentice Hall 1964. Fifth one is differential and Riemannian geometry by Lovitz, Academic Press 1965. Sixth, Riemannian geometry by S. Gallard, D. Herlin and J. Lafontaine by Springer-Verlag 1987. And Riemannian geometry and geometric analysis, 4th edition by Jürgen Jost by Springer. Thank you for watching this session. We will meet in another session with another topic. Till then, goodbye.